episode 11 of PSM Interviews. I am Sunny D.
And I'm Captain J, and we're the pot smoking moms. This week, we have a very exciting interview for you guys. We've been excited to have Erika on for a while. If you listen to our show, you've heard us talking about the struggles of us now going through a very special time in our lives. We apparently have made it to level perimenopause.
Yep, and we didn't believe it to be true until we all started feeling symptoms and sharing with one another, going like, "Oh, this is what? This is something. This is perimenopause."
Yeah, honestly, until you said something and you're like about the hot sweats at night, I thought, okay, I'm having this maybe because I've gained some weight, so I'm sweating more at night or something. I know I need to lose some weight, stuff like that. I never even dawned on me that I could be possibly entering perimenopause.
Right. And I think that's how it starts, where you're like, you're not really ready for this because I don't know, as a millennial, I kind of feel like I'm still kind of young, even though I'm 42. We're 42 now. But like, it's not something that you've ever really had anybody bring up or talk about. I think puberty is like the stage that your body changes that is the most heard of, the most talked about. And then, yes, we hear about menopause, but it's always like, because you're old now, menopause, right? But now that we're
We're
old,
not old.
right. No, right.
That's what I'm saying. That's
But
why we thought we never
yeah,
that we're not here because we're like you said, we feel young. We don't feel old, but they don't talk
right,
about perimenopause. You only hear about menopause, and you don't think that's like older
right.
women, you know?
Exactly. You don't know that there's a stage between there that you are gonna experience symptoms. Like a lot of us, sweating at night is something that we're all experiencing, and I feel like we
Mhm.
all do the same thing where we kind of write it off because we're like, oh yeah, it's my AC is having problems, or oh, the
Yeah.
circulation in this room, and then you kind of after it keeps going, and you talk to other people, you're like, oh, this is a
Wait, that's
symptom
happening to
of
me too.
yeah, right.
Which is important. That's why we need to have these conversations, which is why we seeked out someone and we found Erika Shannon. And coincidentally, we didn't even realize it. September is Perimenopause Awareness Month. So this is the
Right.
great way to start off the month. We're going to have this conversation. More women need to have this conversation. So I hope you guys enjoy our interview with Erika Shannon.
We're so excited to finally have you on our show, Erica. We have been talking about perimenopause and just like all the things, mostly the night sweats. I think that's when I was like,
That's what kicked
what's
off the
happening?
conversation. Like, have you been sweating at night?
It's the
Like
worst, isn't it?
it,
Oh,
it really, and it just like kind of happens all of a sudden, and then you're like, okay, is this a normal thing? Is my AC not working right? And you ask so many questions before you like even bring it up to your friends or your peers, like, hey, is this something you might be dealing with too? So we
Mhm.
we we wanted to talk to you today because we have so many questions about perimenopause. Also, you have a huge fitness background as well, and I think part of this entire process of like having kids and the hormones and how long it takes for you to get back to your normal self. And then we had kids later on in life, so now it's not back to our normal selves. Now we're finding ourselves here at perimenopause.
yes, and there's nothing normal about it.
Yeah, can you tell us what what is the difference of perimenopause and menopause, and at what age can women start experiencing these symptoms?
I would love to say that. Yes. Okay, so there are basically 3 phases. Well, really 4 phases of the menopause journey. Phase 1 is called premenopause, which is when everything is normal. You're getting normal periods, you might get pregnant, you can have kids, you don't know anything's coming. It's like life is good. Then perimenopause hits. Perimenopause can happen on the average between 35 and 45. Anywhere from 35 on. There are people who experience it earlier than that. So, for a lot of listeners, if your doctor told you you're too young to be in perimenopause and you're still in your 30s, your doctor is wrong. Um, so perimenopause starts, and when perimenopause starts is because we're losing our ovarian reserve. Our estrogen starts to decline. And so our bodies are trying really hard to get an egg produced, pushed out, fertilized, and all of our hormones start to go crazy making that happen. So the gang is like estrogen, progesterone, follicle stimulating hormone, testosterone is in there too. We have a lot of testosterone in our bodies, and it gets harder and harder and harder. So we start to have irregular periods. We start to feel all these crazy symptoms because not only do we have estrogen receptors in our ovaries, we have them all throughout our bodies. We have them in our brain. We have them in our skin. We have them in our lungs. We have them in our heart. We have them basically everywhere, joints. And so everything gets affected and crazy shit starts happening. Can I swear? Can I swear on this
Yes.
podcast?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
absolutely.
Okay. Crazy shit starts happening, and it's not just late periods and hot flashes and night sweats. There's a lot of symptoms which we can go into a little bit later. So that's perimenopause. Menopause is actually only one day. Menopause is marked by, isn't that weird? Is marked by the 1-year anniversary of your last period. So once you have gone 12 months without a period, you are considered menopausal. Congratulations. It's the end of your reproductive years, and you are no longer, you don't have any ovarian reserve. There's no eggs left in the basket, right? So anything after that day is considered post-menopause, AKA the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so your body doesn't ever make estrogen again. And so there are lots of ways that we can supplement the body with estrogen through hormone replacement therapy. And there are ways that we can optimize our health without hormone therapy if it's something that you choose not to do. But post-menopause, it's like, hormonal game over.
So when you say you no longer make estrogen, what does the house of estrogen control? What kinds of things are we saying are going to be affected by the loss of that?
So many things happen when you lose estrogen. And it goes into all the symptoms, right? So it affects your brain. So have you experienced brain fog? Yes. Brain fog, anxiety, it messes with your serotonin levels. So anxiety, depression, panic attacks. It messes with your sleep because things are inflamed, right? So you have a cortisol situation that you have to control because cortisol starts trying to do stuff. It creates stress in your body. So now you have a lot of cortisol. So cortisol doesn't help you sleep. Cortisol actually keeps you awake. We have insomnia. We have vasomotor symptoms. So that's the body's ability from the brain to control our internal temperature. So that's when they get the hot flashes and the night sweats. It affects your cholesterol levels. It affects your bone density. It affects your lean muscle mass. We start losing bone density and lean muscle mass. I think the age that it really starts going down is like 40, 41. It's just, so we have to do a lot of work to maintain our bone density and our lean muscle mass because as women, we have a longer lifespan than men, but we don't have a longer health span than men. So women are more likely to die from coronary disease, high cholesterol, heart attack, stroke, all that. We are more likely to get dementia. We are, what else are we more likely to do? I'm drawing a blank. Brain fog. But basically like a lot of shit goes down and we can't, there's no getting it back. And that's why you'll see a lot of women being prescribed antidepressants during this time to try to alleviate the symptoms of hormonal depression, which I can talk a little bit about because I totally went through that. And yeah, it's just a big old mess. Estrogen is everywhere in your body and progesterone. So when they go away, there's nothing to replace it. And, in other studies, whenever we lose a hormone, we replace it, like thyroid hormone and, we go on medication. If we need thyroid medication, we go on it. It's not as socially accepted. And there's been a lot of weird studies and information out there that has since been debunked since it originally came out. I'm not being very succinct, but basically doctors don't want to put people on hormone replacement therapy because there was a study that came out in the early 2000s that said it causes breast cancer. You shouldn't take it. But studies have now come out that says that study was super flawed. It does not cause breast cancer. And it's actually, in many cases, not all, but many, the benefits outweigh the risks of hormone replacement therapy. And there are a lot of really safe ways and a lot of different formulas that can help you kind of regain what you lost. And to this day, hormone replacement therapy is the number one solution for hot flashes, for sure.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like if I'm somebody that's considering hormone replacement therapy, what kind of candidate is good for, starting HRT? And what are some of the pros and cons of it? Like maybe some of the side effects or anything like that?
Yeah. Okay. So if I'm going to start right out by saying I am not a physician. I do not prescribe hormone therapy. I do not prescribe supplements. I always refer out. So my first thing that I would say is find a healthcare provider who is familiar with hormone replacement therapy and supplementation in that way. And there is a wonderful resource on menopause.org where you can look up based on where you live and find a menopause specialist on that website that you can go to that will help you. So that's what you should do. If your doctor doesn't want to give you hormone therapy, says they won't do it because it causes cancer, they're not up to date on the latest research. And there's been a lot more research coming out, right? What was your original question? Just like what's hormone therapy and what?
Yeah, like who's a good candidate for trying hormone therapy, and what are the pros and cons of using it?
Okay, so there are a few different kinds of hormone replacement therapy. The first and safest is vaginal estrogen, which is a topical cream. And it comes in a tube. I have some upstairs. I should have brought it so I could show you. It comes in a tube and it comes with like a little syringe situation. And you squeeze it into the syringe and you stick it up there and shoot it up before bed.
Turkey baster yourself?
What's that?
Turkey baster yourself?
Turkey baste yourself, baby, with 1 gram of that stuff. And that is going to help your geritourinary symptoms of menopause, which include vaginal dryness, itching, UTIs, stress-related or other types of incontinence, all of these things that can kind of rear their ugly head during this time.
Is menopause or perimenopause, the not being able to, like, when you sneeze and pee a little, is that a part of it?
Yes.
Like not being able to hold your urine as much.
Yes.
You don't have to go all of a sudden you're like squirting every time you cough. Let me tell you, I hit the bong too hard. I'm coughing too much. I got to run to the bathroom all of a sudden.
Yes, that is part of it. Yes.
So what about
general pelvic floor?
Pelvic floor, yes.
General pelvic floor dysfunction. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of exercises that you can do for that. There's a lot you can do from an exercise perspective, and there's a lot you can do from a hormone perspective. And the vaginal estradiol, which is the cream, is safe for basically 100% of people. There has never been a study that has shown that vaginal estradiol, topical estradiol, has done anything bad to anyone ever. And there's a lot of controversy right now because when you get a prescription for it, you open how it comes with a leaflet of all the information about it. There's still a black box label that says this could cause cancer. This could cause
God, that has
all
to be
these
so
things.
scary for people trying to try it, like
it is very scary and it's not accurate. So there's a huge initiative right now to get the FDA to remove the black box from that topical vaginal estrogen. Okay. Then there's estradiol, which there are a bunch of different kinds of estrogen. Estradiol is the one that we're interested in. The other estrogens have to do with reproduction, which we're pretty much done with. So estradiol is what, hopefully, right? Please God.
Absolutely.
So estradiol can be administered in a few ways. A lot of people do a cream, which goes into your bloodstream. A lot of people do a pill, or a lot of people do a transdermal patch. Yes.
My mom has the patch. She calls it her bitch patch.
Her bitch patch. I have one too. I'm wearing mine right now. And so, and the benefits of administering estradiol transdermally is that it doesn't go through the liver, which is just, less side effects. There is some risk with people who are prone to blood clots. It's a very specific group. What I'm not sure of, because the evidence is coming out so fast, and I don't want to say anything that's incorrect, and I'm not up to date on the absolute latest. People whose direct parents had breast cancer or reproductive cancer, they're going to want to look at that a little more closely and decide if the benefits outweigh the risks. But there's a lot of studies out there that are saying that hormone replacement therapy is actually helping women live a longer health span because it reduces the risk of dementia, heart attack, high cholesterol, stroke, and osteoporosis. And there are so many women who end up bedridden, living a very limited life because their bones can't take the pressure. Their bone density goes away. They have osteopenia, osteoporosis, and they break their hips, they break their back, they fall, and then they end up in the hospital, and then they get pneumonia, and then they die, right? So that's a huge part of it, why hormone replacement therapy is so good. And then I'll say, if you still have a uterus, they also give you progesterone as well, because there have been studies that have said that if you only take estrogen and not progesterone, if you still have a uterus, there is an increased risk of reproductive cancer. So we don't want to do that. So usually, like, I'm on a transdermal patch, a progesterone pill, and then I use the vaginal estradiol like once a week or twice a week.
And what's the transdermal patch? What hormone?
It's like this big. It's estradiol, and it sticks right on your skin. You put it on your lower abdomen, like by your hips, and it just administers it
like a patch through your skin, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So those three are estradiol, but you're taking it in two different forms.
Estradiol, she said the vaginal estradiol.
You could do, yes, the vaginal estradiol though isn't going to go into your bloodstream. It's not going to help with any other symptoms. It's purely for vaginal discomfort and geritourinary symptoms.
Oh, okay, I see.
Because during perimenopause, the vaginal wall thins. And did you know the vaginal canal actually gets shorter? Yes.
So does that mean
we shrivel up? We're shriveling up.
Yeah, we shrink, right?
To make intercourse more painful?
Yes. Painful sex is a huge issue for many women.
No.
It's sad. It's sad.
So
and this helps with that.
It helps with that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these three would be the main hormones when we talk about hormone replacement therapy that we'd be working with.
Yes.
Is there ever an instance where women use just progesterone and not estrogen? They're not.
Yeah, there are like a lot of birth control pills, I think, are just progestins.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure. Again, HRT is kind of out of my scope. As a coach, I deal mostly with lifestyle related changes. But I try to stay up to date on all the research on HRT, because one of the things I do is I help my clients advocate for themselves with their doctors.
Now, for the topical, like you said, there was one that was like a lotion. Like, where does that women usually apply that? Like
on the inside of their wrist. Okay. Yeah, like right here on their forearm. Yeah.
I've seen ads. I'm telling you, they're targeting us. They know we're there. I've seen ads. Like,
I know. Well, and that's funny because, we got you to book on our show, Erika, and then I saw that ad from Winona, and I'm like,
You were in it.
are we talking to
And
her?
I
Isn't
was
she
like,
gonna be on our show?
That's awesome.
on Monday.
Yeah, I have I do have a partnership with Winona. I'm actually doing a little event with them in New York City next month, and they're great. They're really great. And that's the thing, like, there are a lot of women out there who don't have a doctor in their area. I mean, we're lucky that we live in areas where we have like a big city nearby, or we can like go see people. But there are a lot of people in middle America. I have a client who lives in Nebraska, and she has to travel like an hour to see her OB, and it's like her son's high school friend or something. It's like not everybody has access. And so when you have a telehealth company like MIDI, Winona, Alloy, all of those companies, they're wonderful because they can give you access to hormone therapy with real doctors. You do a whole intake session. They have a huge questionnaire, and then you are put in touch with a physician. They ask you more questions if they need to. And if nothing has set off a red flag for them that would require more testing, they will prescribe it to you over the internet. And the reason why is because a blood test is not necessary to determine if you're in perimenopause. It's strictly based on what your symptoms are, and of course your age, which, hello, we're all right there, right?
We're all at the age and we're all feeling the symptoms, so it's
We are.
obvious.
And the reason why a blood test isn't the source of truth is because of what I said about the body trying to make things happen that aren't happening anymore. Hormone levels fluctuate wildly and chaotically all the time, every day. So if the three of us went and got blood tests today, and then we went and got blood tests tomorrow, we might have completely different results.
Yeah.
And so I hear of a lot of women, they're like, I had my blood work done and my doctor said the results were in normal range, and so he won't give me HRT, but I can't sleep because I have hot flashes all night long and I'm miserable and I have insomnia and I'm having panic attacks. It sucks
So
for
let
them.
me ask, yeah, absolutely. And so when it comes to those things, what are the things that need to be prescribed? I know there are some things that are you could like purchase over the counter, like progesterone creams and stuff like that. But what are the specific hormones that wouldn't need to be prescribed by a doctor?
The ones that we just talked about, the vaginal
Yeah, the
estradiol,
patch. Yeah.
the patch, the cream, and the progesterone pills. Yeah.
And they're
And you
usually
want to
not
get
willing to do that until like, oh, menopause. It's been 12 months since you're like last,
You can
period.
hang on to that HRT as long as you want to, as long as the benefits are outweighing the risks. A lot of doctors say like, oh, once you're in menopause after a couple years, you should probably stop. But a lot of women are saying like, I will, over my dead body, will you take this patch off of me? And there are a lot
So
of benefits.
yeah, I was gonna say, what are some of the benefits, women that see when they're doing HRT? It alleviates all the symptoms, and like what are
To
some
an
of the
extent.
most random symptoms that you never would have thought were part of
Like
all
itchy
of it?
palms, dry eyes, ringing
I've been
ears.
having dry, itchy eyes like crazy, and I don't understand why.
Mm-hmm. Estrogen receptors are everywhere, right? Dry
Just like
skin.
cannabis receptors. Maybe that's why weed helps so much. A lot of women have report that cannabis helps them a lot with their menopause symptoms.
I want to show you all my gummies.
Oh,
I brought
nice.
them down to show you that like I'm giving this a try, right? Even though I'm on hormone therapy. The thing is, hormone therapy is great. But if you're not living a lifestyle, there are a lot of things in your life that can make stuff happen, flare up like crazy. If you eat an inflammatory diet with a lot of added sugar, for example, if you've put on menopausal weight gain, right?
Yeah, well, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Let's
We're all
talk
struggling
about
with
it.
menopausal weight gain. Like,
Yes.
what kind of changes? Obviously, cutting out sugar is like a big thing, but
Added sugar, not regular sugar, not the
okay,
sugar, and like don't stop eating fruit.
fruit, exactly.
Don't stop
Natural
eating
sugar.
natural occurring sugars. So what happens is, again, inflammation takes over the body and we gain weight in our midsection. And so that weight that is surrounding our organs in the middle of our body that we all gain, I have gained it. I swear in the last 2 weeks, I've put on like 10 pounds. It's called visceral fat. So visceral fat has a different composition than subcutaneous fat, which is like the fat that sits like right underneath your skin. The fat that's like, when you go to the gym and they do that like BMI test and try to grab stuff, like I always hated that. That's subcutaneous fat. Visceral fat has a different composition, and the way to get rid of visceral fat is definitely more through nutrition than exercise, but also exercise. So what you want to do is you want to cut out alcohol. Alcohol creates a whole world of problems.
No problem for us.
That's okay. We don't need
That's
that.
Great. Yeah. Alcohol causes a world of problems in the body. There's nothing good about alcohol.
That guy smoke more weed, drink less wine.
That's right. That's right. You want to cut out added sugars. So processed foods, and you want to increase omega-3s. You want to increase cruciferous vegetables, lots of fiber, lots of protein. You want to stop counting calories and trying to starve yourself, because that is not going to get rid of your visceral fat, right? So it's really a lot of nutritional stuff, and also stress regulation, because cortisol causes inflammation. And at this phase of life, I don't know about you ladies, but I have a mother-in-law with dementia and cancer right now. And I have an 11-and-a-half-year-old daughter who just got her period for the first time 3 days ago.
Oh my gosh.
I know, my baby.
Yeah.
And here we are in the middle, right? We're in the middle and we're like, I'm going to take care of you. 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 And then it's like, what about me? Yeah. And it sucks, right? And then you're stressed. And then when you're stressed, I know I eat sugar.
Crave it.
Yes, I crave things. Ooh, that's another thing about hormones. When you're in
reduces the
perimenopause,
cravings?
yes, there are 2 hunger hormones that will fuck with you in perimenopause: ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin, think of a gremlin. It's the hunger hormone. It's like, I'm hungry. So, and leptin is the one that tells you you're full. Ghrelin goes up. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Leptin goes down, which means it doesn't tell you.
Hungry all the time.
Yeah. You're like, I'm good. I could have another 3 pieces of pizza. That's great. I'm not full. And then
I'm hungry all the time.
Because your body.
And then you get bloated.
Mm-hmm. Yup. Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff.
A lot of targeted stuff hitting me on these algorithms. They know I have cortisol content all the time, high cortisol. And I get a lot of ads for like greens, like those greens that you mix. Are those actually useful? Those green?
If you eat them, I feel like that stuff only works.
If you're somebody that's not eating a lot of vegetables, is that a good thing to have where you drink your greens?
I mean, I'm not a nutritionist. I would say it's better than nothing. If you don't eat vegetables, it's good to get your plant protein somehow.
You gotta get fiber.
And you need the fiber so bad, but it's always best to have, the real thing.
Yeah.
Same with protein. You could drink protein drinks all day long, but.
Right. I feel like
no problem. Protein. I love my chicken. I love my steak. I love all that.
Yeah, it's great. And
I love fish,
that's good. That's the best like salmon.
Problems with
salmon is the best protein you could possibly put in your body because of all the omega-3s and the protein. I hate salmon. I cannot put it in my face. I'm like, I wish I loved it, but I can't stand it, sadly. So, I do the pumpkin seeds and the cottage cheese and the Greek yogurt and all the chicken. And my husband lives to grill. So he's always grilling something fabulous. Yummy. So yeah.
Grilled food is always the best.
No shortage of smoked meats.
It's easy to eat healthy food when it's like grilled. Like I feel like, veggies
grilled
is great. You grill them.
That's true. And that's what I tell my clients too. Like, do what you like. Like, if you like vegetables when they're grilled, grill them. Find a moment to just grill a bunch and then put them in the fridge and heat them up later and they'll still taste good. Everybody's different.
All right, so we've talked about food.
I was gonna ask him. I was about to move on, like to exercise, like
working out,
what kind
exercise,
of
exactly.
exercising. Because like I've been seeing that at our age, it's a lot better to do more low impact kind of things, like just going out for walks. Like what kind of exercises would be good for us?
So, in an ideal world, we want 150 minutes a week of exercise, either strength training or moderate intensity cardio. Strength training is going to take care of building the lean muscle mass that we lose, and it's going to take care of our bone density. And it's very important that we strength train, pick up heavy weights, and do it. Like, do it, do it, do it. And you want to have a little impact because that's going to be great for your bones too. So, little plyometrics here and there. Or when you're taking a walk, put on a weighted vest to give yourself a little more impact with every step you take. And yes, there is a lot of evidence that points to. So if you've ever been to Orange Theory, it's the easiest way for me to.
I used to
I
love
love that. I
Yeah.
know.
Okay.
We
Okay, great.
went. We
So
used to go.
the orange zone is like zone 4,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you want to stay ideally in like almost zone 4, but like zone 3. Like you want to stay in a moderate, if there's something called the rate of perceived exertion. So if you can have a full conversation and you're taking a walk or whatever, just brisk up a little bit. Just go a little faster. You want to be to the point where you can like say a couple words and like, maybe carry on a tiny bit of a conversation, but you're like out of breath and you can't talk continuously. That's the sweet spot where you want to be, because that is where your body will ultimately burn off that visceral fat.
Understood. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. High intensity exercise, like a lot of crazy, trendy, boutique style indoor cycling, cough, SoulCycle, cough. Horrible for you right now, because we're already fighting a battle with cortisol. We need activities that don't stress our bodies like that. And also we're at an age where we're losing a lot of lean muscle mass and bone density, and putting ourselves in an anaerobic place too much is going to have the adverse effects. So we want to strength train. We want to cardio, but not high intensity cardio or high intensity interval cardio. You can go high intensity once or twice a week, but not for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Get a weighted vest on, walk your face off, get those 10,000 steps, enjoy it, and also build recovery into your plan. So many of my clients are like, I work out 6 days a week and I do CrossFit and I do this and I do that. And I'm like, are you recovering? Are you taking time off? And they're like, well, I take a rest day when I take a brisk 4-mile walk. And I'm like, no. You need to do mobility. You need to stretch. Again, it's all about down regulating the nervous system. Down regulate, because you have to give your body time to recover, because we're not spring chickens anymore. Right. Everything takes longer. And plus, a huge symptom of perimenopause and menopause is joint pain.
Mm-hmm.
Get a massage, get acupuncture. Lie on a massage chair.
You hear that, ladies? Get that monthly massage subscription for yourself.
Go to the chiropractor, go to physical therapy, lie down in a dark room, go into the hot tub, do a sauna, do a cold plunge. Like all of those things are so good for you.
Not all at once though. No. Like pace yourself.
Can you imagine? That'd be the most aggressive recovery ever.
You're like, okay, I know I said to do all those things, but
I know.
But not all
it
at
sounds
once,
very overwhelming, guys.
Yes,
but
Dee, you're right. You're right.
Things
That's
Just focus
hysterical.
on what we're all trying to. And honestly, like I really, man, I'm not doing very great. Like, okay, I'm pre-diabetic. I gotta work on that. I'm trying to get rid of as many sugars as possible. It's hard, especially when you've kind of gotten into bad habits, but
Yeah.
it's all, all things you got to work on. So it's like, a little by little, like I've been working on my eating and stuff. But yeah, I really working out is the next thing that really need to get into, because muscle mass is something that we lose a lot of starting now. And
Mhm.
that's it's hard to convince people that that's part of the deterioration of your body, but like
Mhm.
we got to get a hold on of it, even if it's like a little bit, even if it's 15 minutes to lift a couple weights here and there and walk a
Everything
couple
counts.
steps.
Yes. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to be an hour in a sweaty gym with giant clunky weights. It can be, 10 squats every hour on the hour. It can be 15 push-ups in the morning. You just do something.
right.
My philosophy is not an all or nothing philosophy. It's an all or something philosophy. Did I do something today? Right?
uh,
Like today I had a very busy day today, but I had a pocket of time and I had to go pick up a prescription. I had to pick up my patches. And my daughter hasn't started school yet, and I needed to get some steps in. So I was like, put some clothes on. We're going to walk to CVS. And she's like, "Ugh, why? I don't want to. It's stupid." And I was like, put your freaking clothes on. I want to spend time with you, damn it. And we're going to walk to CVS. And we did. And we ended up having a lovely time. But like when you have to do something, like figure out a way to do it so that you could stack in your favor. So one of the
yeah,
things I do with all my clients is I do something called a menopause vision statement. And so it's at the very beginning of our work together, and you create your vision statement and you say, in menopause, I am healthy. I feel sexy. I feel great. I spend amazing quality time with my family. I get my daily exercise in. I get time outside. And we craft this statement based on your values and what like the top 3 things you value most in your life. And whenever we make decisions about how to make your life better in perimenopause, regardless of whether you take hormone therapy, we start with the vision statement because I'm like, okay, D, what's most important to you right now? What's a non-negotiable in your life? And then we say, okay, when you're doing that, like one of my non-negotiables is I want to spend good time with my daughter. So I knew today, and she was just sitting in her room doing nothing. I was like, I need my steps. I also want to spend time with my daughter. How am I gonna? And I also need to pick up my hormone therapy. So
am I gonna get all that done?
how can I get all that done? And, then you think of a way and then you do it and then you feel accomplished because you checked off 3 boxes by doing one thing. Take a walk. I
That's a
put my weighted
strategy
vest
right there.
on top of it. Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I also do this. I do a really fun program at the holidays called Hormonal for the Holidays. And it's basically like, okay, what's the thing you love? Like, do you love your grandma's fruitcake? Do you love going to parties and drinking frou-frou la la cocktails? Do you love staying up late and like savoring your time by the Christmas tree? Whatever it is. Okay, you want to do that. That's really important to you. It's rooted in tradition. You're going to do that. Like, I'm never going to tell you stop drinking. I'm never going to tell you stop doing whatever it is that you do that makes.
Smoking weed.
Oh, I mean, I don't think there's a downside to smoking. I don't think there's a downside.
Yeah,
I
I
other
don't.
know.
perspective is
We're
people
waiting
promoting
for
your
the
love, but
research.
it's the best method if you ask me.
I haven't heard of one. So I'm like, okay, if you want to stay up late, let's see how we can work around so that your symptoms don't get exacerbated by the fact that you're staying up late. Now you're fucking with your sleep schedule. You're messing with your sleep hygiene. So let's make sure that if you're going to stay up late, we're not going to drink alcohol. Because if you drink alcohol and stay up late, you're really going to be screwed, right? Or let's say you really want to have that sugary dessert that you love. That's your grandma's and you only get it when you're with your grandma the whole week of Christmas and you have it every day. Like I just went on vacation and I was in Michigan where I went to this dispensary, which we could talk about if you want. But there's a thing up in Michigan that they have the best donuts. And I was like, I'm eating a donut every morning. I'm having a donut every morning. And I was like, I'm going to enjoy that. It's important to me. It's tradition. It makes me feel good. I'm going to have my donut. And then I was like, okay, how am I going to fit in the donut knowing I'm starting my day with a sugar rush? Not advisable, right? I'm going to wait till 11 o'clock and then I'm going to have my donut, right? I'm going to go do a couple things first, take a walk, go paddleboarding, come back, get a nice cup of coffee, have my donut, and I've intermittent fasted my way to a time when I've woken myself up naturally and I don't get the sugar high. You adapt. You adapt and keep what you want, keep what your values are. We're humans.
What's
We're
the
not
best
robots.
thing? What's the best thing to eat first thing in the morning? Because I've heard like
Protein,
don't
right?
drink coffee.
Protein
So
or
what would be
fiber?
the?
I heard
Yeah.
that coffee first thing in the morning and that food is really bad because that ups your cortisol. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
So I would say, I mean, I drink coffee every morning.
Yeah.
You're going to pry it from my cold, dead hands. Okay.
Me too.
I have
But
given up
what
so many
enjoyment?
vices.
Right?
What?
Not on an empty stomach though, do you?
I do.
Okay.
I do because I intermittent fast. So I drink black coffee
I see. Yeah.
and then I don't eat till 11
But you
a.m.
do black coffee then. You don't put anything in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's important, and I do this, I would say 75% of the time. Nobody's perfect. What you should do when you wake up, you want sunlight before screen light. So you want to get
Go
yourself
outside.
outside or open the blinds and get some natural light because that is going to trigger cortisol in a good way, right? And wait at least an hour and drink a huge glass of water first thing in the morning. So you don't want coffee to be the first thing that goes into your body, but you want water. You want to hydrate yourself first and you want to wait an hour and then you'll be fine.
Makes sense.
A whole hour, huh? I'll
I
try.
know. But you know what? You'd be surprised. It goes fast. It can go fast.
Oh,
Especially when you gotta take the kids
You know
to
what would
school.
help?
So I will wait.
You're
until
going
after
outside to
Yeah.
smoke, wake and bake. That will help me get through another hour without any coffee or anything. You know, you go outside.
Now, man, I cannot do wake and bake with just a raw dog it with just a joint and no coffee. That's
Water. She
crazy.
said water.
to
You
me.
gotta have a big glass of water.
Water. Listen, Linda. We'll wait for the coffee and the J or the bowl.
Can you guys hear that?
After we take the kids to school. After we take the kids to school, right? Because we're going outside, there's sun, the kids are off to school, I come back right before I get into my cortisol induced the work. I'll have my little juice and my little tea, and then that's it. That's an hour, at least an hour.
There you go.
That's it.
There you
strategy.
go. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Do it.
What do you, so what kind of, you say that definitely protein, because usually like I eat like I'm starting to eat like a toast, like one of these multi-grain toasts with eggs. Like should you not eat carbs? Should you just eat protein first thing in the morning?
Bread has sugar in it too.
It does.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole school of thought about what to eat for breakfast and how to break your fast and everything. And like I said, I'm not a dietitian, but I think that I don't know. I think it's different for everybody, really.
Okay, fair.
And I do think that, you know, to be mindful of what you're putting in your body first is good. Like I can tell you what I eat for breakfast.
It shouldn't be pancakes though, right?
I mean, probably not. Maybe on a special occasion. Or if you're my kid, she eats pancakes all the time.
Oh, my
But
kid does too. That's what
Mhm.
I'm saying. I'm really
I
talking about,
eat-
I don't eat pancakes every day. It's her.
my breakfast is Greek yogurt with, I do put a scoop of protein powder in it. And then I put in pumpkin seeds. I put in hemp hearts. I put in chia seeds. And I put in berries, like fresh blueberries or strawberries or raspberries. I mash it all up and I eat it. And that keeps me satisfied for quite some time. So I do like to have a little something sweet, but you know, But a
That's
lot
a
of people
good,
are like, you
that's
should
good
have
though.
like miso soup. Like a lot of people say like breakfast foods that are actually really, really, really good for you are like kimchi and like all those kind of fermented foods are supposed to be
That's
really good for you
breakfast
first thing
though?
in the
For breakfast?
yes. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
For
It's good for
fermented
your
foods.
hormonal health. It's good for your hormonal health.
Yeah,
Ah,
I've
I do
actually
like
seen a
kimchi.
lot of diets based on your hormones. Like sometimes they're like, you should take a hormonal test to figure out what diet is probably best for you.
That is true. And I've done that. I've done that test. And then I ignore that test.
Yeah, it's only what you can really keep doing. It's only what you
Listen,
can really keep doing.
nobody's perfect. You got to pick and choose your vices, right? Like that test told me I should never eat black beans, red beans, or chickpeas. I love black beans, red beans, and chickpeas. I'm going to eat them all the time. I don't care if I get bloated. It's nobody's business but my own.
You're like, not happening.
Will I be happier if I don't? Yes, most
That's my
likely.
problem. My like, what is it? Like I have to
Vice.
have is like ice cream, and that's like I gotta
Mm.
stop having ice cream.
Wait, but you know what you could do is get one of those like frozen fruit things and you freeze a banana and you mash it through there and it makes banana ice cream. Then you're having
Oh,
fruit.
yummy. That sounds
Put some chocolate
delicious.
chips on it.
Make some
You never know.
sorbet, basically.
Sure.
Look at that. We're ending this conversation with munchies, with healthy munchie
No,
ideas.
Wait,
but we definitely wanted to ask you about your coaching program. Tell us a little about your next chapter, Evergreen.
yes. Yes. So I have a coaching program called Your Next Chapter. Obviously, it's about the next chapter of your life.
Yeah.
And I have a group coaching program and I have a one-on-one coaching program. So we get together in the group. We get together once a week on Mondays for Menopause Monday meetup. And we do basically a stand-up. Like, okay, it's like 25 minutes long and there are 10 people. And we're like, okay, what are you working on this week? And how can I help you? And so everybody declares what they're working on. And then I have a members only community that we communicate in. So everybody puts down, in the group or in the meeting. And then we like support each other through the whole week. And I also have all kinds of resources, workout. I have my own workout platform where they get a new workout every week. There are menopause specific workouts. I've been in the fitness industry for almost 2 decades. So my base education is in the fitness industry. And then I was a producer for many years. So I now produce content for my own benefit and for my clients, which is great. And then we also do like a one big group coaching call every month. And then with my private clients, it's much more bespoke. We do a giant intake that has a lot more figuring in health history. And injuries and stuff like that. I will create a much more tailored program for those people. And then I have a community where you can join and you can be a member of just the members only chat where you can crowdsource, get some resources, recipes. We have a book club that I'm starting this month. We're reading books about menopause this week or this month. We're reading The New Menopause by Dr. Mary Claire Haver. And it's super fun and they get access to my workout platform and to my community. So there are like 3 different kind of price points and, come and go as you please. But I never want to keep somebody for too long because if I'm not doing my job and I want people to like figure out how to regulate themselves, learn how to talk to their doctors and meet other women who are going through it because we've been talking so much about lately in my community about isolation and how it can feel so isolating to have these symptoms and not have any community or anybody to talk to about them or like our moms didn't talk about this
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they went through
To
it
us
silent.
either.
Right.
To
They
us
didn't.
either. We were like, where were you?
Right. And
Yeah, my
even up
mom just
until
told me about her bitch patch when I told her I was having you on the show.
her
And
bitch
she
patch. It's my favorite thing now. It's
she
my
says if she
favorite thing.
doesn't wear it, she's a bitch, so she calls it.
I love it. I just saw something on Instagram that was like somebody called it their external ovary or my stick-on ovary, they called it.
Yeah, if I don't wear it, I'm a bitch. So
No, it's
like
true.
you're
It is
not bitch
true.
patch. Well, you don't want me to be a bitch. I gotta have it.
Yeah. The bottom line is there are a lot of ways to feel good and feel better during perimenopause. And the main ways to do it are through sleep, hygiene, exercise, nutrition, stress regulation, and self-care. And you got to do all those things. And once you get all those things under control, whether or not you decide to take HRT, you're going to feel better. So
Yeah.
it really is true. And if you need any help, you know where to find me. I'm here.
I did have one more question that I forgot to ask earlier when we were talking about symptoms and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about libido.
Okay.
It can fluctuate, right? Because sometimes you could be like really like, that's what I want all the time, to like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want it anymore. And like, what was the vaginal one called again that you told us about?
Vaginal estradiol, topical estradiol.
Yeah. Is that something that would help with that?
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll
If
help
it's low.
with painful sex. It'll help with lubricating the situation.
Okay. That's a yeah.
Yes.
So
But when you
that's
put it in, you don't want to put it in until after intercourse. It's quite messy. Like it will come out, right?
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, just like everything else.
That sounds like it would be
But yes, low libido is a huge symptom of perimenopause and menopause. And there is a lot happening right now in the study of testosterone and low testosterone in women, which correlates with low libido. And right now I think there's one FDA approved. No, I'm lying. It's only approved for men. It's not approved for women. They have not yet approved any testosterone hormone replacement therapy for women specifically yet, which is bullshit because we need it too. I know that I have zero testosterone in my body. There is a supplement called Tribulus. I was thinking the word Tribulus and supplement. There's a supplement by Pure Encapsulations called Tribulus that kind of like boosts the production of testosterone in your body. I'll just say that here on this podcast if anybody wants to check it out. I had a holistic health coach actually prescribe it to me. And so it's something. It's not testosterone, but it's some sort of natural supplement that helps. But that is a very real thing. And I had a question for you guys actually.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I am not a regular pot smoker. I do imbibe in the gummies here and there. And I did for a long time for sleep. It was mostly like I would do like a half a Delta 8 gummy for sleep, and it really helped me. But now that I have experienced and that I talk to so many women who experience symptoms of anxiety, which is so parallel to what we're talking about in this conversation. I really think that cannabis can really help with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, just like getting through the day. There's so much stress in our lives right now, just by virtue of the phase of life we're in as moms, as busy humans with jobs and sick parents and, kids who are growing up. There's a lot of grief in our lives right now. I do these things every couple weeks called a Meno Party, and it's a free online Zoom hangout. And I'll have like experts on to talk about menopause and talk about, nutrition or talk about pelvic health. And I had a grief counselor and death doula come on and talk once.
Wow.
And we talked about grief during menopause because we're mourning a lot when we go through this. We mourn our youth. We mourn our non-perimenopausal bodies. We mourn our reproductive stamina and the fact that we're losing that. It's the end of our reproductive years and we're losing people. I don't know about you guys, but I've started losing friends who are like my age to cancer, to other things. And it's really terrible and stressful and sad. And there's so much grief. And I think that, I took which one did I take? I took this one. No, that's Focus. Where's the other one? I took Unwind. I bought Unwind. I went to this amazing dispensary in Michigan, and they
Is
gave
that
me this.
Rise? What is that?
It's Loom.
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 Okay.
It's only in Michigan.
Okay.
And it was a really incredible dispensary experience. Like it was like concierge and takes you to the back room and you tell them what you're, I mean, I've not experienced this, right? So I was like, this is amazing, right? And I was on vacation and I have a very, very close friend who's dying of cancer right now. And I've just been so upset. And so I took one of these gummies and I was sitting in this hammock and I went over and my mom was there and my mom goes, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Nothing. Why?" And she's like, "Are you mad?" And I was like, "No, I'm not mad." She's like, "Why are you so quiet?" And
Feeling
I'm
really
like,
good right now.
I'm high. She's like, "Oh, okay."
I love when she was just like, oh, okay.
I'm trying to get her to take a gummy and calm herself down sometimes. But
Yeah.
luckily I could talk to my mom about that. But as I'm saying, like I really do think that there is a place in the menopause space
100%.
for weed.
Yeah.
And I want to know what you think about that.
What you were saying earlier about estrogen affecting all these different parts of our body that we had no idea. It's the same thing with cannabis because we have the endocannabinoid system that we learned about doing this podcast because I didn't know this existed until we started this podcast.
Uh-huh.
We have the endocannabinoid system and we have receptors all through our body that go out everywhere, just like you were talking about estrogen. So there has to be a way that it
A
can
correlation.
well. Exactly. Yeah. There has to be like a correlation where the receptors probably can also help with the symptoms of what you're feeling for the
I mean, we talked about we had a sex expert on our podcast recently, and she talked about using it like suppositories and using it vaginally to help with discomfort in sex. So maybe that's something there that you want
Oh.
because we
to check
have
out.
endocannabinoid receptors down there too, just like we have it in our gut, in our brain, like everywhere. So
That's fascinating.
there has to be more research done on how cannabis helps with menopause symptoms.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
more
think there should
research,
be.
period, but
More research, period, but
hopefully,
like especially
yeah,
in women's
hopefully.
health, I feel.
Well, women's health has a long way to go. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
they, especially with menopause, I don't know if you know this, but when you go to school to be an OBGYN, it's a 4-year program. And any guesses how much of that time is dedicated to menopause?
A chapter?
8 hours tops in 4 years.
Wow.
8 hours. It's like once you are past the reproductive phase,
They don't care.
nobody cares.
Who wrote
Nobody
the
cares.
chapter? Probably a man.
A man.
Exactly.
It's not even
Yeah,
it's terrible. There's such a long way to go.
when it comes to OBGYN and that area, honestly, I have to go with a female because
Oh,
there's no way that I mean, I'm sure there's very good doctors out there that are men in that field, but
yeah, but
I
not
want to have someone who can empathize with what I'm going through
who
by
knows what
knowing
I'm
that
going
they
through.
themselves have gone through that.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I have a male gynecologist and I did not set out to have a male gynecologist. I literally showed up and I showed up on a day that my gynecologist was sick or it was the wrong day or something. And they were like, well, Dr. So-and-so is
Well,
here. And I was like, okay. And then I just I kept going to him. And for the past 2 years, so last year I was like, I was really I was having hormonal depression. So every month I would go into like a major dip where I was like crying and like losing my shit. And I am very aware and self-regulated and I know all the tools, I know all kinds of things to do to like pull myself out of I couldn't pull myself out of it. And I told him and he was like, "Okay, what would you like? And I was like, I don't know. And I told him, I was telling him about like my vaginal dryness. And he was like, that's when he prescribed me the topical estradiol cream. And then he's like, do you want to try hormone therapy? And I was like, I'm afraid to like try too much. This was like, before I got my certification as a coach. This is 2 years ago. And I was like, I don't know what I'm not sure. And he was like, okay, well, I'm going to give you an antidepressant. And he put me on sertraline, which I stayed on for a year.
Wow, a
And then,
gynecologist prescribing an antidepressant.
Who's listening to? Yeah, I mean, no, that exactly.
you know
That's what you
that,
say with them. That's
I mean,
great.
because of postpartum too.
yeah, with no question. Okay. And so I just think it's funny that so many people are like, how dare you get hormone replacement therapy without a blood test? And I'm like, people hand out antidepressants like freaking candy and anti-anxiety meds. And I'm like, so make it make sense. Anyway, so I went on it and it helped. And then I made the decision to start hormone therapy. And I actually started hormone therapy with Winona, because they reached out to me and they were like, would you want to partner with us? And I was like, I only partner with people who I use and who I work with. And I'm not going to partner with you just to like get followers. Like, I just don't, I don't care. And they were like, well, do you want to work with us? And I was like, actually, like I am looking to start HRT. And so we worked out a deal where I got HRT from Winona, and I felt so much better. And I had an appointment with my doctor like a couple months after I started. And I was so scared that I was going to get in trouble. Like, this is the fucked up thing about having a male gynecologist, right? Or a male anything. Like, I was like, I'm going to get in trouble because I took control of my own body and I, like, so I go to him and I'm like expecting him to gaslight me. I'm expecting him to be a dick. And I was like, so, first of all, I want to go off the sertraline. I've already started weaning myself off. And he's like, great. And I was like, and I went on HRT, and he's like, great. How do you feel? And I was like, I feel really good. And he's like, okay. And I was like, can I get it through you? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, what are you on? And I was like, well, I'm on a transdermal patch, 0.0375, and I'm on 100 milligrams of progesterone. He's like, done. You feel good? I was like, yeah, I feel good. He's like, okay, great. Like, he was so supportive and wonderful. And then we had an amazing conversation about weed. Actually, I'm just remembering now.
Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting.
because we talked about, like I said, like, the anxiety I had and with this, which caused me to start the sertraline, the anxiety and the depression. I was having panic attacks and and I was like, and honestly, like I'm kind of afraid to go off the sertraline completely because I think it really helped with my sleep. I said, but I think that if it does start to go the other way, then I have sleep gummies. And he's like, oh, really? Where are they from? And I told him, and he was like, oh, I go to this dispensary in Bloomfield. Like, and he was like, honestly, like I have past trauma. He was at that country music festival in 2017 when that mass shooting happened
in Vegas.
The one in Vegas?
Yes, he was there. And he's like, and the only thing that helps is THC.
It helps with PTSD, 100%. He suffers from PTSD and has been known to help with that.
Yes.
With the nightmares.
Yes. He told me, my gynecologist was like, I think it's great. Stamp of approval. So stamp of approval for the hormone therapy, stamp of approval for THC. It was a good day. It was a good day at the doctor. And he didn't gaslight me. So that long ass story is all to say, like, yes, I would prefer to have a woman too, but there are men out there who are informed and who aren't going to like gaslight you. I hope to God that there are more than we think. And I am always pleasantly surprised when my doctor listens to me, but for some reason, I'm always expecting him to not. And that's the sad part.
Because that's been like the standard.
Yeah.
Women's experience going to doctors. They're like, oh, I'm feeling all this pain, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, that's just standard period pain. And then after like going to 3 different doctors, you end up finding you have endometriosis or something.
Right. Yeah. PCOS. Yeah. It's horrible.
100%. So.
Yeah, it takes like 11 years to get properly diagnosed with endometriosis, I think. It's like a ridiculous, ridiculous amount of time. Anyway,
Yeah, it's hard.
This
hooray
conversation
for weed.
has been hooray for weed and hooray for the learning more about HRT, because I think that's very helpful. I'm definitely need to go to the doctor and
Look into it. Yeah, look into the research and a wonderful book to read, by the way, that talks about in depth, talks about a lot of the different kinds of hormone replacement therapy and also gets really into what estrogen receptors do all over your body. It's called The Menopause Brain. It's by Dr. Lisa Mosconi, Mosconi. It's amazing. And then I would recommend The New Menopause by Dr. Mary Claire Haver. Those are the two that I would say, like, do that. Then there's a urologist named Dr. Kelly Casperson who has a book called You Are Not Broken. She has a podcast of the same name, and she's a huge advocate for hormone replacement therapy, testosterone, including, like, she's just amazing. There's a whole crew of women out there who are board certified physicians who are really leading the charge to not only increase awareness about menopause and how we are cared for during menopause, but educating women like us about hormone replacement therapy, about nutrition, about, self-care, so many different things. So just keep your eye out for that. And also, like, don't be a stranger. Come find me
yeah,
on Instagram
for sure.
and come to one of my Meno parties. Will you guys come to one of my Meno parties?
I would love to come to
Yeah.
your Meno party.
Okay.
Please.
I'm having
Well,
one in a
Yeah.
couple weeks. It'll be fun. It's all about self.
yeah,
Yeah.
send us the invite. It's a Zoom, right?
It's Zoom. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can sign up on my website. There's always a page
Oh,
up
okay,
there.
great. We'll find it.
ericashannon.com/Meno party.
And that was our interview with Erika Shannon-Hathaway. She's a certified menopause coaching specialist. And not only that, but I really liked talking to her because she's interested in cannabis, and I
Mhm.
feel like she's kind of new to the world of cannabis. And so now the whole perimenopause thing, now she's trying to take it from a perspective of like, well, how can we use cannabis, right, to help us through perimenopause, because it's what we've been using and what's helping us so
Yeah.
far. But if you want to get in touch with her, you can find her on Instagram at Erika with a K Shannon Movement. And you might have seen her on the commercials, like we talked about, the Winona commercials
Winona.
that we're being targeted for, obviously, on Instagram, because now it's what's coming up for us. It's probably coming up for you too if you listen to our show.
Yeah, so it's Erika Shannon Movement on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And then ericashannon.com is her website. You could go there to check out her Meno parties. I actually signed up us for the next one. Hopefully we can make it. The next one's September 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. It's a Tuesday night thing that she does. So yeah, that's a good little way to get your information about menopause and perimenopause directly from Shannon, and see if maybe any of her services may be helpful for you. But I know this conversation
Absolutely.
was very helpful for me, for sure.
Yeah, it was a great conversation, and we'll continue to have more. I feel like this is just the beginning of us starting to find out a little bit more. I mean, like the testing on women and women's products and stuff, the research, like we were talking about, is still starting up. Like, you'd think
Yeah.
we've had research for women's bodies, and it's like we just found out about the whole tampon thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so more and more, the more we talk about, the more we, want to learn about this, the more research, they'll do.
And make sure you're following our social media and stuff. We're going to try to share a lot of information this month about perimenopause. I know that I find a lot of information online. I will share content in our stories and stuff about it. So check us out on our website, follow our social medias. I hope you enjoyed this week's interview.
Yes, and we will be back next week, Wednesday, with another show, with an all new show for you. So we hope to see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
PotSmokerMoms.com. Bye.